Hello, my friends. Jacob is here. Happy Valentine's Day, huh? I got a little rose for you. Anyway, listen. A lot of people don't know what Valentine's Day is about. And it has some crazy, cool origins. Man, you're not gonna believe it. So that's what today's show is about. It's gonna be a short one, and it's gonna be one that is filled with love. So I hope you're ready. Buckle up, people, because we're talking hearts today. Okay, so this year alone, $19 billion will be spent on candy, cards, jewelry, and all sorts of really cool lingerie. If you know what I mean, because that says romance, right? Wrong, people. There is more to romance than just gifts. Don't let the consumer mindset fool you. And the irony is, this holiday that we think is all about love, well, it has some pretty dark origins. Valentine's Day's roots are found going way, way back to ancient Rome. There was an awesome festival called Lupercalia. Okay, and basically, in Roman mythology, Lupercus is a god sometimes identified with the Roman god Faunus, who is the Roman equivalent of the Greek god Pan. You probably know him today. There's an offshoot called Baphomet. That's right, they were worshiping that god. And what they were doing was they were trying to, find a way to get people to have more babies. That's really what it was all about. So this holiday, Lupercalia, it was around February 15th. And what would happen is men everywhere would go and they'd get their goats and they'd get their dogs and they'd kill them. That's right. They'd murder them. They'd sacrifice them to the great god Luper, and then they would skin them. And then what would happen is everybody would get together, they'd all be naked, and women would line up, and the men would beat the women with the dead, bloody pelts and intestines of these animals. Romance, right? So they believed that during this ritual, which was always fueled by alcohol, everybody would be totally wasted. They'd be wasted killing the animals. They'd be wasted, bathing themselves in the blood of it. They'd be wasted while they're hitting each other, trying to get the women to, become fertile so they could have more babies. And they were all drunk, and it was like a crazy, drunken, bloody, crazy orgy, something that you'd find in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this happened every year, and people loved it. They lined up for it. They even had a raffle. It was like a sexual crazy bingo where women would put their names in a big, clay pot, and the men would come over and they'd put their hands in their bloodied hands and they'd pull out a woman's name and they'd call the woman's name. And then for those 3 days, because the holiday was usually from the 13th to the 15th, they'd basically go and they'd, seal the deal, I guess, for 3 days straight, trying to make babies. And if the love connection was right, after these 3 days of this bloody drunken orgy was, it was a match, they'd stay together. Yeah, it was nice. Now, a lot of people don't know that that's where Valentine's Day started. Lupercalia would soon be transformed into a new holiday. It would be morphed into a Christian holiday of sorts, taking on the name Valentine's Day. Back in the day, probably about the 3rd century, Emperor Chaldeus II. He executed 2 men, both named Valentine. He beheaded them both in different years on February the 14th. Now, this later would be honored by the Catholic Church, and it would go on to be called St. Valentine's Day, which is what we know it's called today. Much like a lot of the holidays we celebrate today, they all had their, historic roots in pagan rituals like Christmas, otherwise known as Saturnalia. And then, of course, there is Easter, which sounds a lot like Ishtar, which is where it started. Another ritual that has to do with fertility. Easter was named after the Sumerian goddess Inanna. It's also known in Mesopotamia by her Babylonian name Ishtar. And that's where we get Easter from, celebrated on the same day. So what happens is, and I'll explain this because this is where we get Valentine's Day from, and this is how it became, a tradition today. Pope Galatius, he wanted to expel these pagan rituals. So what he did was he adopted Lupercalia. He adopted this crazy tradition of beating women naked while drunk with intestines and animal pelts and then having sex with them for 3 days. He adopted this tradition and kind of combined it with the St. Valentine's Day ritual, and it became what we celebrate today. Now, the holiday would be toned down a lot. So what would happen is, they'd still get drunk and they'd still, basically have a bunch of orgies, but they'd have their clothes on in the streets and they wouldn't be murdering animals and beating each other with them anymore. It would be more, toned down. And what they'd start to do is they started to basically take the tradition, they put it on stage, and then little by little they'd weed this, tradition out. Which is, where we are today. No more hitting the women, right? That's where we get the word hitting on. I'm hitting on you. That's where it comes from. Because that's how a woman knew that a man liked her. I guess. I don't know. Doesn't sound like love to me. But hey, yeah, those were darker times. Now, as the years passed, authors like Chaucer and Shakespeare, well, they romanticized it, right? I mean, they made love so grand, and it was more about poetry, and it was more about sharing heartfelt wishes, like Shakespeare. A great sonnet. Those lips that love's own hand did make breathe forth the words that said, I hate from hate away she threw, and then saved my life by saying, I hate not you. Right? So Shakespeare and Chaucer, just like today, the media will, dictate what society will do. The media of the day was Shakespeare. So, you'd find people then starting to write these little poems and these little sonnets and these little handwritten love notes, and they'd be handing this to their loved ones instead. Cut to the Industrial Revolution, right? Okay? Because now it's all about profit. So they found a way to make money off of love, right? So in about 1913, I think it was 1913, let me make sure of that. I think it was 1913. Let me see over here. In 1913, Hallmark began, right? The Hallmark cards, they created an industry where, all year long, if you messed up, you could always make it right by just getting that right card and that bouquet of flowers. And I got some flowers from my wife. I love my wife. I got her, but I write her poems too. See, I like to write. Not everybody has to do this. This is not an expression of love. An expression of love is not, I'm going to get you that nice bangle that you've been waiting for to show you how much I love you. It's the simple things like bringing your wife a cup of coffee or your husband a cup of coffee in the morning. Just doing something nice, thinking of the other person first, putting the other person first, because that's what love is. Love is being selfless, and unconditional love is what relationships need today. And the problem is, it has been monetized, right? Everything's about money today. It's about showing your affection through gifts. And there's nothing wrong with it. I love buying stuff for the Dan. I love it. I love making her smile by bringing home that nice new outfit that I got at Vicky C's. It's Victoria's Secrets, because they have a great collection. I like Victoria's Secrets. So does she. It's our favorite store. And why wouldn't it be, right? So my point is, the world today has taken everything and has twisted it and turned it upside down on its head. It's made a generation of people that really don't know how to connect anymore. Today, people don't know how to connect at all. So Valentine's Day is about everybody trying to play catch up. That's why over $19 billion was spent this year alone. And they think it's going to be more than that when all is tallied. That's a lot of money to say I love you, don't you think? Now, for all those husbands and all those wives that get those cards and those flowers and those gifts, how many of them want to forgive? How many of them want to put their soulmate or supposed soulmate first? Sadly, today, more people are miserable in the relationship they're in than anything else. More people today just say that, I'm there for the children. I'm not there for love anymore. People have given up on love, and that's a sad thing. Look, I haven't gotten it all figured out, but I've learned by my mistakes, and I have made mistakes. I have allowed insecurity in my life to make my relationship harder. When I started thinking that, maybe she doesn't love me enough. And then I said, maybe I'm being taken for granted. And if she said, maybe he doesn't love me enough, and maybe he's taking me for granted. See, what happens is we get stuck in this negative mindset where we start thinking these terrible thoughts about the person that we're supposed to be loving unconditionally. And what happens? Then we create that environment, because whatever a man believes, he creates. Out of the abundance of your heart, your words speak, right? And the power of life and death is in your tongue. And if in your heart right now, today, in your relationship, if you're not fulfilled, and you're thinking, I don't care what you say, Jacob. It'll never work. I don't care what you say, Jacob. He's just too far gone. He doesn't care about me. I'm not going to work harder to make him happy, or I'm not going to work harder to make her happy because she's too involved with this and he's too into that. Well, just so you know, you get what you put into things. In a garden, whatever you plant grows, and that's what you harvest. If you want your relationship, if you want to know love, if you want to be happier than ever before, and I'm telling you, in my relationship right now, happier than ever before, more in love than ever before. My life is such a beautiful, wonderful thing. I can't wait to see my wife. I can't wait to hold my wife. I can't wait to spend time with my wife. I go out of my way to spend time with my wife. I go out of my way to try to be with my wife more, which is why I'm not online all the time responding to all your comments as much as I'd like to, because my family is important to me. That is my life's blood. To live is to love. And let me tell you something. If you think that you're really loving your spouse while also harboring all of this ill will, you're wrong. Because love is patient, it's kind, it's gentle, it's forgiving. Love is meek. Love never fails. So if you're having problems in your relationship right now, if you're going through a hard time, I want you to not give up. I want you to strap in. I want you to buckle up. And I want you to make it work. Put that person before you, before your needs. Start doing things for them. Start simple. Do something different. Maybe get up in the morning early when your wife's going to work early, just to give her a cup of coffee. Maybe make her some breakfast. Maybe stay up a little later when your husband comes home late from work and just have a nice dinner waiting for him. Just do things to show that person that they matter to you, even if you think that they don't. Because when you put these works out there, when you start sowing these good things, it starts to happen. I'd be lying to you if I said that my marriage was perfect all the time, but my marriage is more wonderful than most. It wasn't too long ago where we were almost going to say, hey, let's take a little bit of a break. But I said, no, ma'am. She said, no, sir. And we buckled up and we said, we're going to make it work. And we started putting each other first because we knew that love was the most important thing. And love is not selfish, it's selfless. So today, while you're celebrating Valentine's Day, I think it's great that you got that great card, and I think it's great that you got that new bling on your wrist and that ring on your finger. I think it's wonderful that you got those new earrings, or you got something sweet and you went out to dinner for the first time in a year. Make it a habit. Make every day a beautiful Valentine's Day, if you will. And don't make it like Lupercalia. Don't be, killing your pets and whipping each other with bloody pelts. That's pretty nasty. It's weird. What a weird thing to do, right? You can make it work, people. All you have to do is put it into the one that you're married to. Put it into the one that you're living with. Put it into the one that you one day said, maybe years and years ago, I love this person, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person. It's not easy. Marriage is not about all the great times. It's about the journey, the ups and the downs. And what makes a marriage strong is the fact that each and every one of you that are going through hard times right now, you can turn it around. And you don't need your spouse to want to do it either. All you need to do is have the will to do that. And I'm not saying, you stay in an abusive relationship. Someone's hitting somebody, you get help. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying, don't give up. Don't let this world trick you. Get offline and get in the bedroom, holding hands, reading stories to each other, looking into each other's eyes. Spend just some time with each other. Go out a little more. Go for a walk. Tell each other how nice they look. Do something. Build. Sow good seed into the person that you're with. And I promise you, you will know true love. And you will find that it was better because it once really sucked. I love you all, and I hope that you have the best day ever, and give somebody a hug. I'm going to give you a hug on Valentine's Day. Give somebody a hug, and make sure that you tell the person that you're with that you love them, and you're going to work harder than ever before because you matter to me, and you all matter to me too, and I'll see you next time, by Wednesday at least, if not sooner. I was going to do another video, but I decided to do this instead because I just felt like this was important. And I hope that somebody got something out of it. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon.